Hey everybody, happy Friday. Today we are talking about shift number 4 to go from burnout to balance, which is financial mindset. So shift number 1, we talked about redefining balance in terms of rest versus stress. Shift number 2 is sustainable self-care. Shift number 3, stay in your own lane. And shift number 4, financial mindset. So if you missed the first 3, go back and watch those videos. But today, financial mindset. So we're going to talk about what is financial mindset, how does it affect us, why is it important for overcoming burnout. And so a lot of times mompreneurs start a business because they want a flexible schedule. Maybe they had a hobby or a passion and they just decided, people were asking for it. And so it turns into a business. Or one of the most common ones is moms just want something outside of motherhood for themselves, something to do that's for themselves, to be productive outside of their children. And so as women in general, we have so many hangups when it comes to money and selling. There's all sorts of different barriers, right? So there's fear, guilt, scarcity mindset, or feeling like your product or service is not valuable enough. So all of those, and that's not an exhaustive list, there's more, but those are the main ones that affect us as women. And so a lot of times the guilt comes from feeling guilty for charging too much money, or feeling guilty that it cost you $5 to get your product and it only took you 10 minutes to make it. So how can you charge $50, right? You feel guilty for doing that because it didn't take you a lot of time, or it's easy for you. That's a lot of times where the guilt stems from. And there's lots of different reasons for guilt around money. But that's kind of one of the most common ones that I hear from the mompreneurs that I talk with. For me, I had a fear that a lot of people have, a fear of failure or fear of being too successful. That was one for me. I was afraid that that if I got too much on my plate, it was going to take away from my family and life was going to be chaotic, right? I also had a really deep-seated fear that money was going to pull me away from God. That was a really real fear for me, one of the biggest ones I had to overcome. And part of that comes because I also had a scarcity mindset. I grew up in a house where we didn't know if the lights were going to be on, and it was a struggle most of the time. And so I have always just had this scarcity mindset. And so out of that, I have really learned to rely on God to provide for our family. And so I had this fear that if all of a sudden I had this financial security, I was no longer going to need to rely on God as much, right? And so that was something I really had to dive into and figure out where it was coming from and why. And I did a lot of study in the Word to really help me overcome that. And then the other thing too was I ended up hiring a coach because I had read the books, I listened to the podcast, I tried to do it on my own, but I still just was stuck. I couldn't overcome it. And that's where coaches come in, right? They can see our blind spots. They can help us work through our pricing issues and things like that. And a lot of times it's not about the prices, right? When I started my gift box company, I had a lot of people tell me that I should charge more, but I just wanted to help. I just wanted to get the boxes in people's hands. I didn't understand really, I didn't really understand like the service that I was providing. And for me, I was like, I wouldn't be able to pay that much money for a gift box. And so I was stuck in what I would be able to do instead of thinking about, okay, who is the market out there who would pay for this? And so there's so many different things that when it comes to any mindset issues, a lot of times we can't see our blind spots. We need somebody else to walk us through that and to help us figure it out. And figure out like, where is this coming from? Why is it here? Is it real? Those kind of things. And so, what happened with me when I set my gift box prices too low, it made it so I didn't have money to invest in marketing, which is made it so I wasn't getting the word out as good as I could have. And so that was less income coming in. That was even less money coming in, right? And the other thing is I was putting so much time and energy into this thing that I really believed in and I was passionate about. But in the end, it wasn't bringing in the income that I needed for my family. And that wasn't working. And so eventually I just got burnt out, right? Like, you wouldn't go to a job and not get paid, right? Like, you would be like, I'm not coming anymore if you're not going to pay me. So that's how we need to think when we are business owners and as mompreneurs. Like, we would not go to a job and take time away from our family if we weren't getting paid for it. So why are we okay with doing that in our own businesses? It's crazy. We should be paying ourselves first. Absolutely, 100%. But again, that all comes down to mindset a lot of times. So that was shift number 4 to go from burnout to balance, is tackling your financial mindset. If you are not getting the income that you desire, maybe you are bringing in money, even people who have 6-figure businesses, either self-sabotage can come up and they lose all that money, or they want to get to the next level and they're stuck and they don't know how to get to the next level. And so money mindset is not a destination, it's a journey. It's something that we are forever working on, and that's why coaches have coaches, right? Mindset is a continual journey. It's not something that you just like overcome and you're done with it. It's a forever thing that you get better at, and then you hit the next ceiling and then you got to come overcome it again. So that's financial mindset. If this is coming up for you, resonating for you, you have guilt, fear, scarcity mindset, any of those things, I would love to chat with you. I do a 60-minute clarity call for free. You can comment or direct message me, and I would be happy to talk through that with you.